Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 26.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
Welcome, everyone. Glad that you are here. I am excited. Why? Because I've received lots of confirmation and messages from you, either at a live event or just people who have run into me and told me what a difference that the wholesaling book has begun to make for each of you. And I'm really excited about that. That's one of those things that, gets me excited for continuing to do the information, making sure that, you're out there using it. That's good. I've heard from people talking about getting properties under contract for the first time. And some of you even have created a mess, if you will. And you're like, how do I get out of this? And that's fine. That's fine. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, just go over to learninvestingnow.com. That's learninvestingnow.com. You can place your email there, get your free e-course. It's all about wholesaling. And I wanted to give the nuts and bolts of how to make that happen. If you have already done that, stay tuned because you are about to start getting some emails that will also begin to explain this process to you in video as well. So we've created those and you'll be getting those soon. And if you want those, again, it's completely free. Go over to learninvestingnow.com. Make sure that you put your email and we'll go ahead and get that started for you. This is your first time listening to us, as always. Make sure that you listened to episode number 1 to understand a little bit about the background of the format of the show. And, come back to this one and keep listening because as it is, the name of the show, Cashflow Diary, there is going to be continual updates, often from my own experience as I continue to grow as an investor and on my way to one of my goals of just having 1,000 free and clear units inside the United States. So, and in the processes, I want to just make sure I share how to do that with everybody. And, well, this particular episode, I think you're going to find to be interesting because we're going to cut to a kind of a coaching session, if you will, that I was able to have in my house in this particular case because they live nearby. And you'll be able to hear husband and wife team out there getting started in real estate and just answering or just me answering their questions, etc. However, before we get there, let's talk about our cash quote for this particular episode. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. That was said by Mr. Warren Buffett. He is an American business, they say, magnate, investor, and philanthropist. He's widely considered the most successful investor in the 20th century. Well, I say until you get started, right? He's currently, that should be like a title that passes from year to year, right? Most successful investor in the 20th century. Or just most successful investor of 2013, 2014, 2020. Whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't really matter. The point is, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And that may not always be the same. In fact, oftentimes what should happen, this is what should be happening in your business. Price should be significantly less than value. Let me say that again. Price should be significantly less than value because your customer should feel like they're getting a good value at whatever price. So even if your units are renting for $2,000 a month, then the customer should feel like that they're living in a $4,000 apartment or unit or whatever. So maybe you're fixing and flipping and you sell the house for $200,000. That's good. But what you should be doing is making sure that the customer feels like they get a value of $300,000, right? So all of those things are there for you to be able to analyze and to understand. But remember, price is what you pay, value is what you get, or in this case, give to your customer. So we're going to start with two particular. Obviously, we've got two snippets from this particular training session. And most importantly, for those of you who are already premium members, you probably have already seen this video because inside the premium membership, you actually have access to the video. You've got access to the screenshots. You got access to the computer screen and everything else that I was doing there. And you're able to see the notes, et cetera, et cetera. But for those of you here on the podcast, feel free to continue to listen because I think you'll learn a thing or two, specifically in this first part about how to find some money, understanding the cash flow quadrant, and just being able to identify the size and scope of the dream that you may want to cultivate and why that can make a difference and make your investing, honestly, safer. So here we go.
Well, one of the questions I've thought of, because you're talking about different classes of buildings, Class A, Class B, Class C. I know you're predominantly Class C in one market area. Now, would you look at a Class A or Class B building in an area that's predominantly Class C, or vice versa? If you're looking in a marketplace that tends to have newer or higher end buildings, would you look at a Class C building in there, or is that?
You want to have the neighborhood be higher than the building, equal to or higher than the building, not the other way, not vice versa.
Okay.
Unless you plan on buying the entire neighborhood.
Okay.
That's the only way you let that go the other direction is if you have a plan to actually inquire. Like, I'll look at something and say, okay, we'll buy this street. If I buy the whole street, I can change the street.
Right.
And then, okay, sure, no problem. But if I'm only going to buy a single family house inside a mess, that's too risky, because your greatest risk, in my opinion, with long-term property is who buys the property next door. That is, bar none, one of the biggest things that you've got to deal with, because you don't know who they are. You don't know their identity. You don't know how they think.
Right.
You don't know why they bought it. You don't. So you typically want to, if you're going to mix and match neighborhoods and classes, you want the neighborhood to be equal to or higher than your property, whatever that might be. Now, to that point, one of the things that I should say is that your identity changes over time. Because, for example, there could be a time where you need tax advantages. Cool, that means a certain type of property is better at producing some of those than others. But once that's handled, then maybe now what you're after is more actual equity.
Right.
And then you can change that. So, because that's what I'm doing with the shopping center, is it's a completely different play. It's actually kind of a B-class shopping center. And that's fine, because it fills a different need within the portfolio than just the C-class apartment building. Make sense?
Yep.
So where you start isn't necessarily where you stay. It's just what it is. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess, does it make sense? Because I see, ideally, we'd probably like to land at B class that you could hold for a while.
Okay.
But I think to ramp up to that, my guess is we may have to start at C and then over a period of time kind of do what you were saying.
Why would you say that?
I'm not sure I can afford to buy B class. Or that.
Okay.
Because what you're saying is I become the B class investor and attract B class money.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, because the words you just used were, you're not sure that you can afford.
Right.
Remember, it's not
not me.
It's not about you.
And we can't afford any of it right now.
It doesn't. It doesn't really matter. It's not about you. Wealth is a team sport, right?
Right.
It takes all of us. Together, everyone achieves more. So that's what. So when you get clear, if you are clear that that's who you are, there are other people who have the money, because what they don't have the knowledge and the time to execute the strategy. Make sense? That's what you're bringing to the table. That has massive value. it is easier to find money than it is experience. Okay, more people have a dollar bill in their pocket than they know how to actually use that dollar bill to create a stream of income. So that's clear. What I'm saying is that as you begin, you got to let your thinking slip to this side of the equation. See, the business owner is thinking, who can I employ to help me achieve these goals? Whose money can I use? What attorney do I need to help protect the company that I'm building? Make sense? The investor is only looking for a system that is usually owned by the person who owns the business, real estate, who owns the business that has the ability to produce more income. The self-employed person is looking just for someone to buy another property, do another loan, more attorneys' fees or whatever, illegal accounting, etc. The employee is looking for a place to work. The economy is dependent upon this person. And what I'm saying is you guys become this person. This person typically has the least amount of cash in the deal, but they've got a lot at stake because they're building on reputation, they're building on their skill sets. Or you want to talk about work? Organize these people.
Right. Right.
Organizing those people is a lot of work.
Right.
And that's the job, quote unquote.
Right.
You've got to identify the opportunity. What building you're going to take down next? What makes that work? How many people can you employ? Can you get the correct legal structures to make all that happen? All of that stuff is the knowledge and the time that keeps money people on the sideline because they're afraid that they know. It's not that they're afraid. They know they don't have it. They know that they don't know something, so therefore they do nothing.
Right.
And they don't know, which means part of it means is that they're not seeking out people like you guys who are out there learning what it is that you need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm saying whether you can afford it is irrelevant.
Right.
Somebody can. What is relevant is that you don't know who they are, and you don't know their identity. Well, not yet. You don't know you don't know their identity, and you don't know what marketplace yet. That's what I'm saying. You do that work, and then you never know what could happen. At least that's what I found out because I didn't know. I mean, if it had to be my resources, would I own any property?
No.
Right.
That's all I mean, I don't know what else to say. If it had to be my resources, I wouldn't own anything. At all. I have to bring some other value to the table. Part of that value is doing this market research. And a lot of it you can do without leaving your house, which is good. All right. Now, after listening to that, you probably get an understanding of why I chose the particular quote for this particular episode. Because what is valued by the marketplace changes. Your value can change. Your value should grow and increase over time. So the price that your investor pays should feel like it's a great value. What does that mean? That means even if you say get $100,000, $200,000, even $10,000, and the person is investing with you or buying a property from you or you're wholesaling or whatever, they should feel like they've gotten double that and then some because of all the work that you've done, because of the team that you've put together, because of all the pieces that you now make easy, so that you make investing accessible in so many different ways. You also heard me talk about the supply and demand equation of capital versus experience, right? And you get the idea that experience is what's more valuable, not necessarily because experience is more valuable. It's just in less supply, and therefore there's more value assigned to it at the moment because there's an excess of money, honestly, in our economic system, especially in the U.S. And since, all currencies kind of tied to it, so I'll say the world. And because of that, you who are gaining experience vicariously through the podcast, or those of you who are out there actually practicing, you know this, you get this, you understand it, you live it every day. And that's what creates value in the marketplace and why you earn the rewards that you currently earn. So good job. Keep going. Keep doing it. Keep listening. Tell somebody. Tell a friend. And in the meantime, while you're thinking of telling a friend, let's talk about our cash flow question and make sure that you have an opportunity to win the upcoming book, The Cashflow Creation System, and through which I go through not only my story, but definitely the entire business plan. I mean, people ask me all the time, everywhere I go, how did you start off squatting a bank-owned property? How did you start off from there to be able to own, rental property in multiple different states and wholesale property using none of your own money or credit? And what can I do to get started? And well, the answer is read the book. So if you want an opportunity to win one, all you got to do is get the question right. So let's talk about last week's question. Last week, the question was, what is the science that describes the management, creation, and study of money, banking, credit, investments, assets, and liabilities called? That science is called finance. And some of you got it right. Some of you, not so much. Anyway, this week's question is it's shorter. What does ROE mean? ROE. Now, you probably heard of ROI, but what is ROE mean? And for bonus, give me the definition as well. Don't just tell me what the words or letters stand for. Give me the definition as well. Anyway, with that, make sure that you send in your answers, or you can call them in now at 800-689-1764. You can also use that phone number to send us a comment or a question or whatever else might be bugging you in the back of your head. If you're looking for some ideas or thoughts on how to move your next deal forward, feel free to leave some information there, and we'll do our best to make sure that gets answered as well. Now, let us get back to the next part of the coaching session here. And I think you're going to really, really like some of the things that you hear, especially some of the things that I think of when it comes to identifying neighborhoods and understanding specific nuances of how to place value on something. So here we go.
What are other ways of knowing classes of property?
Class, in my opinion, has to do with the concept of two things, and it comes from appraisal. There's the building age. Okay, so you've got building age, and then you have effective age. Those are two different numbers. So, for example, I'll give you an example when you talk about people. So just think about people, right? People may be 70 years old, but sometimes they have procedures. And those procedures are designed to lower their effective age. See, kind of clear there, right? Here's my point. Buildings are the same way. A building's age, especially as it's usually on title down at the county. Most counties, not all, don't quote me on this, I'm not a construction guy, but typically to maintain the building's age, you can remove everything except for like one wall. One structural wall has to maintain standing. You can remove everything else around it, and if it said originally built in 1901, you can still leave the building age at 1901. Now, if you did that and built 100% of everything else back around it, is the building really 100 years old?
Not quite.
No, the effective age is like yesterday.
Yeah.
And the same thing, and it actually affects your insurance premium. So this is the other place where it's important, is to understand the difference between the building age and the effective age. That's why insurance companies are always asking, when was the last time the plumbing was updated? When did you do the roof? And when did you do that? That's why they're always asking that question. Because they're concerned, when is that device going to wear out and break, and they're going to have to pay something. So I focus on buildings that would technically be C class, but I make them make the internals, the systems, all new. That's why I look for buildings that are vacant, 100% vacant, so I can go in and tear all that stuff out, put in a whole bunch of new stuff. My operating expense ratio drops through the floor, and it makes it hard for the building next door, owned by my competition, to compete because they're still working off old systems. Make sense?
Yeah.
But all my systems are new, so I'm good for years.
Right.
And it puts us in a position to where you can hold a property long term. which again it's that whole, which is why we don't buy them already done, because the person who may have put them together probably wasn't thinking like I was thinking for my purposes, and that's the whole point. Our identities are too different; they can't be on the same team. So yeah, classes has more to do. It's not just building age, and building age is even skewable, and that's what I was trying to demonstrate. So it has a lot more to do with who is living there. You know, there's a certain socioeconomic class that's going to live in a certain area of town. Right. It has a lot more to do with the pride of ownership. You know, there are some areas of town where if you leave your trash can past 6 p.m. on trash day, they like start sending you notices like, hey, you left your trash can out. And then there are others where you got, you know, stacked up tires, you know, in the front yard. Yeah. So effective age is it's very, very relative. That's one of the hardest things to tell on paper. That's one of those things where you have to actually go see it. You know, they can say it's Class A, but is it really?
Real estate agents are great at making a pig look beautiful.
Yeah, then you understand exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm talking about there. You can't just, it's not blanket, it's not clear. And at the end of the day, what you and I are concerned about is effective age.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you know, how long, if I've got new plumbing, new electrical, we're good. New roof, might as well be A-class as far as I'm concerned. Right. Now the other thing, here's the other thing where classes get you into trouble is amenities, for example. Right now, the marketplace is going through this whole open concept thing, right? And because it's when the stuff was built, probably didn't have an open concept. Right, you know, you had smaller bedrooms, that type of thing. Right. That can snag you if you're not paying attention. So a Class B or C building will typically have, especially in apartments, will typically have a smaller bedroom than the larger ones. The kitchen is so not open; it's totally closed off. You got uppers and lowers in terms of cabinets, and it's probably galley. You know, it's just not. It's not what people are going. Ooh, that's nice. Today, so that tends to date it with the floor plan. So that will definitely have some effect. Obviously, your appliances, thus your appliances are older. Thus your wiring is also probably older. You know, so sometimes some of those things can, but all of those things again are things that can be fixed. You know.
Now, how much is that impacted by geographic area?
What do you mean?
Like, for example, looking at some of the things that I was looking at in the Midwest, because the buildings are older, it seems like that's more standard to have smaller rooms, you know, more closed off. Where in the West, in California, it's really open.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So I'm assuming there's a mindset difference between that tenant and the tenant someplace else, potentially.
Exactly, and this is the same thing. I'll go. As usual, I'll go off topic using a completely different company to explain the same concept. McDonald's. Not that I'm telling you to eat there, but McDonald's in Maine sells lobster. Not here. Right. Because that's, you know, we don't do that. But in Maine, different story. And my point being is that they serve the customer where they are. Right. And every marketplace, yes, is different. One of the things about the D.C. area that always drives me nuts, and I just don't get, is that their real estate is advertised as site of such and such battleground, and so died here, and this war was here, and that somehow makes the property worth more. I'm just like, I don't want to know that stuff. That does not encourage me to buy this piece of land. But they place a value on it. Here's the key. This is the word that what we've got to understand is value. And more importantly, value is in the eye of the beholder. That's what we're after. Value is in the eye of the beholder. When you understand what your customer values and doesn't value by converse, then that tells you what you need to do. If your marketplace values big bedrooms, then you better comply. Yeah. If they don't care, then okay, great. Because sometimes you can have a bigger bedroom and it be a detriment
I did that once with one of my buildings. I actually made it nicer. It had larger bedrooms, used vinyl doors with the double insulation, energy efficient windows. And my tenants said, I can't stay here because it's too nice. It didn't fit their identity. I made the mistake. I'm like, but I got the tile at discount. I didn't even pay much for it. I got everything at a discount. And so I could have given them what they wanted, or I could have given them a little bit better for the same price to me.
Right.
And it ended up costing me because they said it was too nice. And we've got to be aware of that. Our customers, not us. In a lot of
Now,
cases.
how do you learn that? Is that purely?
How did I learn that one?
No.
Yeah.
How do you learn from somebody else?
How do you learn that on the front end?
You learn that on the front end, and this is why your property manager is key. You learn when I go to a new marketplace, I'm looking for the property manager first. They are by far the most involved. Most people fail to involve the property manager soon enough. I want to involve the property manager when I'm making rehab decisions. What cabinet should I buy? I don't know. Ask the property manager. What flooring should I use? I don't know. I don't care. I just want the flooring that my tenant was going to like and rent. Ask him. What will sell? What can he rent? That's what we're going to do. If she can't rent it, then we're not doing it.
Right. Right.
And the property manager knows, because see, here's the point. The property manager is who you're going to be calling on a monthly, weekly basis saying, hey, what's up? Why am I vacant? Where's the rent? What's going on? They don't want to deal with no headache.
Right.
They're going to make it as easy as possible for them. Their interests are aligned with yours. And so I involve them and give them, I assign a lot of credit to whatever it is that they say, because they know. They're the ones collecting the rent. They're the ones collecting the phone calls, the irritations from all the customers. They know.
No, I think I know the answer to this question, but
Okay.
just
in case.
Just in case. You would always recommend having a property manager.
That's part of my investor identity.
Okay.
That is my investor identity, is that I call it return on time. Okay? So your return on time is what it is. You're not saving money, okay, by not
Right.
paying the property management fee. You're earning a return on your time. I prefer, and I'm what I call a lifestyle investor. When I say lifestyle, I don't mean fancy cars, houses, rings, and trips and all that other stuff. I mean, I would rather be able to choose what I do on a daily basis as opposed to having to worry about, did I arrange the plumber? Did I make sure that the electric guy got there? Is the gas turned on? All those other things. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But that's a choice that I make. Now, because I make that choice, my buildings have to produce enough income to compensate for that.
Right.
Which means there are certain marketplaces that by default I have to write off because I made that choice. For example, California being one of them. It's very difficult to make that choice and have a certain return expectation. It's just difficult. Mm-hmm. So therefore, a lot of my buildings are not here. For that and many other reasons. So yeah, that's why understanding your identity is important. Are you going to self-manage? Okay, cool. That's fine. There are some people out there who believe and subscribe to that philosophy. That's fine. But you need to know who they are. And some of those people have capital but they still don't have the time. They would resonate with that thought process. I'm not, no.
Right.
No, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So, in that particular section, you now have some of the more valuable keys to successful investing. And one of the things that I really want to underscore is the effective, keyword, effective use and leveraging of the experience, knowledge, and of your property manager or potential property managers. They should be the ones that know your customer the best. They're your sales force. They're your customer service. They're even technical support, right? When that toilet breaks, they're going to be one of the ones to get the call, and occasionally also the ones to arrange the repairs. All these things, they are the face of your business in so many ways. They should understand the customer more than you do. And I often find that we get caught up in thinking that, well, it's all about the property. It's all about the property. It's all about the property. Well, the property by itself doesn't generate a return. Doesn't generate a return unless there's a person living there. And that property needs to cater towards that person's needs, desires, wants, so that they continue to live there. So even if you are out there developing streams and streams of cash flow using single family houses or whatever form of real estate you choose, you must remember that even though it's passive income, you're technically making a sale every 30 days, right? It's every 30 days that you've got to do the work or have your system do the work that produces the rental income. You've got to earn it. It doesn't just happen just because the building exists. You've got to go out there and earn it. So ask yourselves this question. What did you do this week to earn your rent? You say nothing. Well, if you've got good systems in place, you may not have done much this week, but you did a lot of work at the beginning. And that's kind of where I'm coming from, is that when you're out there and you're looking at neighborhoods and you're identifying them, you want to know where you're shopping, so to speak, and you want to understand how to serve that customer. As many of you have heard me say before, the person who shops at Walmart has a different expectation than the person who shops at Target, has a different expectation than the person who shops at, say, Nordstrom. All three of those people are shopping. All three of those people are people. All three of those people are going to pay money for the goods and services that they receive. However, they all have different expectations, and each store caters to them. And you and I, as real estate entrepreneurs, need to do that as well. Whether we're fixing and flipping, buying and holding, doing land, doing notes, it doesn't really matter. We still must obey that rule, right? The rule is know thy customer, and we must do so. And one of the best ways that I have found to know thy customer and serve thy customer is to find quality property managers who understand and know thy customer and give them, some additional authority and roles and responsibilities, especially if you're out there rehabbing property, because what you think might be great may not. And as you heard me mention, I learned that one the hard way. So take that for what it's worth. Hopefully you found some good stuff in this particular episode. And, well, I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cashflow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, cashflowdiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cashflow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.